Welcome to Tech with Heart. I am your host, Michelle Calloway, and we are all about empowering business success in a digital era. Welcome. I'm so excited you're here today because we actually have a very special guest. His name's Fred Parrish, and he is going to talk to us about something that is absolutely critical for success in business, and that is finances. Money, money, money. It's so important that we hold on to it or use it wisely, and that's what we're going to talk about. He has amazing technology that he's built that he's going to talk about how it's going to make it super simple for you to keep track of your finances. But let me do a little introduction for Fred right now. So Fred Parrish is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of The Profit Experts. And during a 39-year career, he has held positions from staff accountant to CEO in both public and private companies, with revenues ranging from startup to $5 billion. With his broad experience in both operations and financial management in a wide range of industries at all levels of the organization, he has developed a proven process for optimizing operational analysis, dynamic cash flow management, staff efficiency, planning, profit mining, and organizational development. He is also an author. He has authored the book, The Profit Mentality, which is a guide for maximizing entrepreneurial success by taking control of the financial dynamics critical to profitability. But he's also recently co-authored a book with Michael Gerber. That book is called The E-Myth, Chief Financial Officer: Why Most Small Businesses Run Out of Money and What to Do About It. So welcome to Tech with Heart, Fred Parrish. Yay!
Oh, thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it. I look forward to it. This can be fun.
Yes, it is fun. It's always fun to be hanging out with Michelle. I make things fun. That's just who I am. And I believe so much in the power of technology, but I also believe so much in the power of technology and how it's going to help people. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, Fred, because I know you have something pretty amazing you're going to get to share with our audience. But let's first talk about what is driving you right now to help small businesses with figuring out their finances.
Well, you know, the main issue is that very few small business owners have any kind of financial management background. And unfortunately, that sets them up. Most of the time, they are in danger of making a fatal decision at any moment in time because they think that their CPA or their accountant is watching their back and they're watching what's going on while they're out doing what they do, whether they're selling something or making something to be sold. Unfortunately, most of the time, these accountants and CPAs, not that they're not very good and capable professionals, but they are really good at debits and credits and tax returns. Very few accountants and CPAs have ever run any business outside of their own practice. And so they are doing debits, credits, tax returns. They've got their head down, and that business owner is not watching the financial aspects of the business. And there is a very large gap between those two activities. And like I said, unfortunately, a lot of business owners will make a decision that will end their company at some point in the future, and they may not see it coming until it's too late. And so we want to change that dynamic. We want to equip that business owner and give them the tools and the understanding to avoid that outcome.
Yeah, you actually had in the past told me a quote from Benjamin Franklin, and I'll go ahead and share it here. It says, beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. So yes, it is something that we need to be fully aware of. I know personally, I love the marketing sales side of business. Or in the creative content creation, you know, I am not really a fan of having to track the money, but I know how incredibly important it is. So we're really glad you're here talking to us about that.
Yeah, if you don't have that background, it is a bit painful to have to go through and do that. And again, that's why we have developed the tools and I have written the books that I have, is to equip the business owners with that capability without that normal pain and suffering that you have to go through in order to learn all of those technical subjects. Because you don't have to be an accountant or a degreed person with an MBA in finance to be able to do these things. It is something that everyone can do. It takes a little bit of focus and a little bit of discipline to get started. And you just start where you are. And it's just like anything else. It gets better over time as you do these things on a consistent basis. And your company gets better, you get better, everybody is happier, and in the end, you end up with a successful company instead of a big burning crater in the ground.
I love it. Actually, Fred, when I first met you and I actually got to witness what you have built, your technology, and how intelligent it is and how just easy it really is going to make it for so many business owners out there who, especially small businesses, who just don't have a whole incredible devoted team to just their financials, right? I was really lit up from the inside, and money does not excite me. I don't do what I do for money. Money is just a necessary, thing that I need in order to continue to do what I do, which is, I'm out here to help businesses stand out and get noticed and empower them to be successful in the digital era. So that's why I was so thrilled when you said yes, that you would come on to this show and talk to us about what you have built. So could you please share with us a little bit more about what you have built and what you are now out there able to provide to small businesses as a means to keeping track of all of their finances in an easy peasy way?
Right. So the Profit Beacon is the name of the software, and it is a cloud application, but effectively it is an automated chief financial officer for small companies. And basically what it does, it takes the data out of QuickBooks and converts it into what we call operational intelligence. And it gives the business owner a predictive capability. They can analyze the way the company is operating today. I say they can. The software actually does that for them. And they just answer a few questions, and then the software will show them, based on certain decisions or actions that they're looking to take, what those outcomes are going to look like months and even years down the road. So if I know there's a problem coming 6 months from now, and it is, let's just say, a $60,000 problem, if I know 6 months out, that's a $10,000 a month problem. If I run up on that problem and see it 30 days or even 2 or 3 weeks out, it's a $60,000 problem. So the more runway I have, the more time I have to manage a particular issue, the easier and more effective it will be for me to go about that. It gives me much more runway to correct any problems that I see coming. And a lot of times what happens is companies will run up on these big problems and will not have enough time to do anything about it. And unfortunately, they end up going out of business more often than not when that happens.
Good concepts. Course correction ahead of time. Like if you know you got a storm, if you're in a ship and you can see in the distance there's a storm, you don't wait till you're in the storm to figure out how to get out of the storm.
That's right.
That's a really great analogy. I love analogies and I love stories. For a small business owner, and even the startup culture, right? Because tech companies, I'm a tech company. I started in 2016, so I'm still considered a young company. Some people still refer to me as a startup company with Revelio. I know that how important it is to kind of have figured out what your runway is. And so for those of you who don't know what the term runway is, it's the distance that you can go with the monies that you know you have. You can build in the projections of what you expect to have if you do indeed make the sales that you project to make. But runway is essentially the money that you know you can have and how long that will last. So you can figure out how to spend it to hopefully get you to that point of profitability where you're able to like start relying on the revenue coming in to continue to move the company forward. There's all kinds of different ways to secure funding if you need it, and the best time to get the funding is when you're doing okay, not when you're in dire straits. I found that out too. You definitely don't want to wait till the last minute for hardly anything in the realm of business. Again, that's why I love so much what you're doing, because you don't have to be a financial person in order to use your software. It actually guides people through the process, kind of somewhat, I think, again, I'm an analogy girl. When TurboTax first figured out how to make filing the taxes so simple, they walked you through the process. They put a lot of effort into that user experience. And I believe that that's similar to what you guys have done, is you knew that you wanted to be able to make this easy for small business owners, and you've guided them through the process.
Yeah, it is really designed for the non-financial person. It can be as simple as someone needs it to be, or actually as sophisticated as someone wants it to be, and every shade in between. And our onboarding process is a very high touch situation where we actually will get on with a new user and spend 30 minutes, an hour walking them through, getting their company set up, showing them all the functionality, all of the navigation, teaching them how to use certain aspects of the software to get the effect or to get the benefit that they're looking for. And so it is designed where we pull information out of QuickBooks, but the information never goes the other direction. So they can test all they want to, they can play around with it, build any kinds of different what if type questions they want, and just beat the software to death, and they can't hurt anything. All they're going to do is get better about how they plan, and then they just delete all of that and start with something clean once they have a handle on it, and then they're off to the races. They will see what is coming, and that's the real key. You have to be able to see what is coming. What is already here, it's too late to do anything about it. And what has already happened, it's already done the damage it's going to do. We want to know what's coming, and that's what the software does. And that's why we call it the profit beacon, because it cuts through the fog of all of those decisions and shows you what the answer is to those questions before you ever pull the trigger. So before you ever spend 1 minute of time or $1 of your resources in moving in a particular direction, you already know what those outcomes look like. And you can line up different decisions and decide based on the outcomes that you're going to get, which is the better direction to go.
It's also true that you can utilize this tool to help you set your pricing, right? So like if you know that you have a product or a service that you're selling, right built into this model, you're going to tell what your costs are versus what you're charging for it. And you can quickly identify through these long-term projections, you can set it up that way so you can see, years out, if you sell at this price, are you actually going to be profitable, considering what the costs are for your operations, and just time and everything.
Absolutely. And one of the things that small business owners believe in their heart is that sales will solve all their problems. And so they're always out chasing that next contract or that next customer or client. And unfortunately, like you say, if you don't understand what the margins are going to be, what is the profitability going to be on those sales, you can actually sell yourself out of business. So you need to be very careful about that. And so the software does enable you to understand, based on whatever combination of different sales activities you have underway, what contracts you think you're going to get, what new clients or customers you're going to bring on, it will show you what the gross margin is and what the net profit is, and more importantly, what the cash flow is that will come out of all that activity. If you're not getting the results that you want, then you need to go back and look at the detail and find out, is it Are you selling the wrong thing, the wrong combination of things? Do you have the wrong contracts for your labor and material? Whatever those pieces are, you can then start to analyze and figure out where the problems are and correct the course, as you say, right the ship, so to speak, to get those better profits and cash flows before you go too far down that path. Because again, if you go too far, you may not recover.
Well, I know too that when you're in a startup world, you know, you have to identify all of this ahead of time. That's part of the building the plan, the business plan. The financials are all part of that plan. And it can be very overwhelming when you see some of these spreadsheets that you're expected to try and figure out how to fill out. And again, that's why I love so much what Fred has built. I'm a big advocate. Can you tell? I love what you've done. You've just taken a humongous need and pain point for so many, and you've just simplified it. And I love the fact that you're everything, no matter what you need to build, whether it's a set of projections, you need to do a profit and loss, or you need to do the profit margin corrections, or you need to see visibility 6 months out so you can course correct. I mean, all of those things are easily done within your system.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And it creates a fully dynamic model that is live in the software. You can make changes, and it will show you in real time, if you do certain things, what the profitability and cash flow is going to look like. And then you can lock that in and you have your forecast. It also will produce information for startups. So if you are building that business plan and you are trying to create those financial models, the software will actually do that for you as well.
Which is awesome, and it's so affordable. Let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about what that looks like for a business in order to, I guess, build in your technology with their business model on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's $49 a month, and you get a 30-day free trial right out of the gate. You have absolutely nothing to lose in trying it out. And again, you get a lot of attention on the front end to help you really get set up correctly and learn the basics of how to use the software.
$49, that is crazy. Do you know how much a CFO costs? Chief Financial Officer, this is ridiculous. Wow, thank you so much for building this. I'm very, very pleased to be able to share this with our business audience, Fred. Thank you so much. Hey, well, when we come back, I would love for you to share a little bit with us what it was like to co-author a book with Michael Gerber. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Fred Parrish and the Profit Beacon. The problem is that business owners are losing millions of dollars of potential revenue each year because they don't know how to stand apart from the competition. I'm Michelle Calloway. I am the founder and CEO of Revealio, an augmented reality marketing tool that we've created for business owners like you to help you captivate people's attention.
Oh, that's so cool!
Influence their buying decisions.
I
like it.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
That's right.
Oh, I want that.
I love it.
We do this by making your brand or product come alive with virtual content. You can actually take a viewer through the entire buyer's journey in less than 60 seconds. It's super easy to do. Just send us your artwork, send us your video, and we'll connect them and make the magic happen. So start standing out and influencing today. I have with me Fred Parrish, and we were earlier discussing the importance of knowing your financials and having that forecast available to you at the snap of a finger. And he created the Profit Beacon software, which is available to you for only $49 a month. You can have all that visibility and power in your finances. Amazing opportunity for you guys. Profitbeacon.com is where you can go. You can get that for a free 30-day trial. But now I want to talk to Fred Parrish because he co-authored the newer release of the E-Myth. It's called Chief Financial Officer. And he worked right alongside Michael Gerber, who is so famous for the E-Myth book. And I've heard from so many business owners that the E-Myth book has changed the way that they will forever do business. Hallelujah. So why don't you share a little bit about what it was like working with Michael on this Chief Financial Officer version of the E-Myth.
Yeah, Michael, we've been working with Michael for about 3.5 years now, and he's an amazing guy, just absolutely brilliant. And it's just fun to be around him. He is 83 years old, and he has more energy than most 35-year-olds I know. And he can stand on stage in front of a room of 1,000 people and just set the place on fire. So he is an amazing guy. You know, it's funny because my connection to Michael and the E-Myth started probably about 10 or 12 years before he actually wrote the first book. And the reason I say that is because I worked for McDonald's when I was in high school. And even at 16 years old, I was amazed by the efficiency with which that company operated. It was absolutely amazing to me. And I've been in McDonald's all over the world because I wanted to make sure that what they tell everyone about their franchise system is actually true. And if you go into a McDonald's anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter. You walk in and it looks exactly the same as it does on the street corner right down from your house. And the way it operates, the way they function, just the process from beginning to end. And so when I read the E-Myth Revisited, which was actually in the early 90s, all of that started coming back, and that was probably 20 years later after I had been working at McDonald's. And so I told Michael that story when he and I first connected, and he said, listen, we got to write a book. He said, I like what you're doing and your connection to the E-Myth, because we have designed the whole process for a Profit Beacon and how a small business owner can manage that financial function exactly in the way that he has laid out the whole E-Myth methodology. And so it was just a perfect fit with the E-Myth and with Michael. And so we've had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed when I got a chance to meet him recently. I told him about Tech with Heart, and he was pretty much excited and lit that I was leading this movement. He's like, this is a movement. I'm like, I know. I want to empower people. This is a movement around getting, making technology friendly and simple and showing people not just what to do, but how to do it, the empowerment piece. And I was just really thrilled to be in his presence. I definitely felt that he is very extraordinary. You definitely get that from him. And he has vision, massive vision for not just, what he did with the E-Myth. Do you want to do your best to kind of, in a nutshell, for those entrepreneurs or business owners who have not read the E-Myth, do you kind of want to do a synopsis of the original E-Myth and then, kind of go into your take on what the Chief Financial Officer version is and why they should read it?
Yeah, sure. The E-Myth, like I said, McDonald's, the system that McDonald's developed in the very beginning when they really launched that franchise model is the heart and soul of the E-Myth methodology. And that is that every function has a system associated with it. And it is a plug and play type environment where you just plug people into a system no matter where it is along a particular continuum. And the company should function the same it did before that person was added or before that person was exchanged with another person. So it is all about process. It is all about system. It is all about structure. And so the E-Myth Chief Financial Officer is taking that same concept and applying it to the financial function in the business. And the E-Myth CFO book is written in a way where if a small business owner is large enough, if the company is large enough to be able to afford a true CFO, most are not, but if they are venture funded, for example, and they have millions of dollars, they can go out and hire a CFO because they are very expensive people and because they have a very unique and very critical skill set that not a lot of people have. And so, again, most small businesses cannot afford that. But the book lays out exactly what, if you can afford one, what that CFO should be doing and how you should, as the manager, owner, CEO, be managing that function. And unfortunately, like I said, most small businesses don't have the resources to hire their own CFO. And the reality is that if you don't have a true seasoned professional CFO in your business, guess what? You're it. And you need to know what that means, and you need to know what all those pieces are that should be paid attention to, or you could make that fatal decision. And unfortunately, you won't survive.
Wow, thank you so much for that kind of nutshell, capturing all of that. The E-Myth, systems, the importance of systems, the importance of planning. I'm finding that, you know, I know you and I were talking about this just a little bit ago, how so many people are just shooting off the hip. And that will only take you so far. I'm at the point in my business where I'm looking to scale. And I am just continually bombarded with how important systems are in every single aspect of my business. And if without those systems in place, it's just nearly impossible to scale, because you're talking volume now. If you don't have a smooth operating system with low volume, then there's just no way you can go up. And there's a huge difference for those of you who are listening for a scalable business model versus a just small business model. Small businesses don't necessarily have it inherent within them to scale. They're completely fine being like a mom and pop shop. They're just so happy. I don't see that as being freedom. Some people like that lifestyle, and they will work that lifestyle until they are much, much older and can't work anymore. But to build a scalable model is where you can have the freedom to let the company run without you necessarily having to put in all those hours that maybe you're putting in at the onset when you're a young company. So scalable models are really the way to go in the realm of working towards having more time for yourself and your family. And financial freedom as well. So it's definitely good for you to have knowledge in every aspect of your business. And I think, again, what Fred has built with this, you know, Profit Beacon software is just taking a huge pain point for a lot of us who are a little bit maybe more creative, or we're a little bit more conversational, or, you know, like out there and mixing. We're extroverts, really, and we want to be out there and we want to be working our business. We don't want to be working in our business. We want to be working on our business. This Profit Beacon software could really take a huge load off of you, and only $49 a month. That's just really, really reasonable. It's so incredibly reasonable for what it can do for your business. So again, thank you, Fred. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. No, you're absolutely right about that, Michelle. It is so important that you have those systems and that organization in the company, because you can't control everything forever. And you're right, there are some companies that are what they call lifestyle businesses. But in the end, if you expect to sell that business to someone else, that business cannot rely on you as the owner to make it run, because it has no value if you leave. And so even if it is a lifestyle business, you still need to put those systems and that process in place so that if you do in fact want to sell it at some point in the future when you want to retire, you can do that, because you have to be in a position where you can actually replace yourself with someone else, or there is no value for someone else to buy, because they're not buying you, they're buying the company. And so even for those lifestyle businesses, they need to pay attention to that in order to maintain that value after they're ready to go.
Great point. Thank you very much for that ad, because I know I maybe I don't want to step on toes. I just know when I first came, I was a small business owner, And it was very much dependent upon me. And then I stepped into being an entrepreneur when I started building Revelio, the tech, company with the disruptive marketing tool with augmented reality. I saw right away the difference, that I had something now that I could totally go and scale with. And that's a whole nother level of building. It's a whole nother level of excitement too, of where you could go vision-wise. But good point on the fact that you at some point will need to sell or pass it down or something, and it won't always be you. Good point. Man, you're just such a wealth of knowledge. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Fred, tell the audience what they are, where they need to go in order to perhaps get a copy of this E-Myth book, the Chief Financial Officer version, and also get that 30-day trial going with your software to see if this is indeed going to solve all their problems, which we already know it will.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. And yes, so you can actually get the book on Amazon. There is an audio version on Audible. There is also the ebook, the Kindle version. So they're all different versions. You can actually go to the website, theprofitbeacon.com. It will tell you about the software there. You can actually register, as Michelle said, for the 30-day free trial. So again, you have absolutely nothing to lose. And there is a book page there. There's a lot of video, a lot of other content where you can get a feel for who we are and the message that we're trying to get out to help every small business owner we can touch.
Wow, thank you so much. That is an incredible offer. This software is going to really shift the needle for so many companies to just have that visibility, that power to avoid sinking, like Ben Franklin said. He says, beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. So let's start making decisions and financial right decisions for our business from today forward. Thank you so much for joining us today on Tech with Heart. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.